Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the This Week in the Tech Boy podcast. I just realized after recording the entire episode, of course, that the stupid hardware mute key on my computer was muted. So 50 minutes of perfectly good audio just got, annihilated, unfortunately, and I don't have a backup recorder. So anyway, we're going to be talking about, of course, the ridiculous cell phone bill coming. Let's get my, oh my gosh. We're going to be talking about the ridiculous cell phone ban coming out of the great state of Texas, of course, as well as other. Of course, this is called the greatest victory of all time, where this kind of ties into cell phone ban. Of course, we find people to talk about the cell phone ban. Of course, I bet Chrissy Lamont is going to be utterly shocked from this. Of course, there's a little, I guess, hint here. My snap score went up about 25% over the course of 2 hours. And we found actual TikTokers, this does overlap. We found actual TikTokers to interview for the channel. Promises made, promises kept. 4 months ago, I made you a promise. It's probably back in April. Hopefully that's 4 months. I'm doing math off the top of my head. 4 months ago, I made you a promise back that, we'd find TikTokers to interview and ask them where they came up with the dances and things of that nature. And, now we're back to doing it. We found one. We actually got a dance recorded, so maybe we can put that up as a teaser. And, we're going to we're going to do the interview thing. All right. Anyway, first we're going to talk about the stupid Texas cell phone ban here in schools. That's why I wrote an article about this. I know it's probably not going to be popular, but I mean, who cares? Hey, like I'm absolute Teflon. I've been doxxed twice, and nothing ever happens. Okay, nothing will happen. Okay, and actually, I actually kind of touch on that in this article. I'm trying to share to this tab. Where is this tab? I want to make sure everything is going right. Oh, there we go. I want to make sure everything is going right as well. It kind of stopped showing my screen. So here's the article: the stupid Texas cell phone ban. As you guys know, this ban banned cell phones for people. What is this layout? Yeah, whatever. Anyway, as you guys know, this banned cell phones for people in schools. There are some health and safety exceptions that we're not really going to get into. It's not really important, not really relevant. As you guys may have heard, the great state of Texas, where the TechBoy Media is based out of, is a Cincy banned cell phone public school. The TechBoy Media is a teen-first brand declaring parental control applications at Cincy malware. We've never reviewed one of those applications like Life 360 or Bark, especially like the Bark phone and the Gap phone, those privacy phones, are essentially ripoffs. As you guys know, they say, oh, we have no internet, and then they also say, oh, we have GPS track. And I'm like, well, how are you getting that signal? Oh, wait, there's Android-based phones that can send GPS signal. Oh, wait, they're actually hackable. Yeah, they're overpriced teen phones, ripoffs, and scams, and forging into the teen media space. Of course, as you guys know, there's not that many positive influences in the teen media space. I don't deny that cell phones have potentially affected students in negative ways. But this is America, and I'm not in favor of just banning things that we do not like. This Texas bill goes way too far. Not banning just iPhones. It bans everything from a cybercode to a walkie-talkie to a PDA to a personal laptop, including those phones that we talked about, those like not phones that had like their own fake numbers and their own little network thing. Those are actually technically banned here in the great state of Texas. So much good can be done with the cell phone, and as well as personal laptops as well. Those are also banned. Personal laptops and tablets for taking notes. You all have to use the school-provided trash Chromebooks. I'm so sorry for that. I'll go to Vital Audio in my 2022 presidential campaign and my run, and I ran my 2023 presidential campaign off the cell phone. They're incredibly useful tools and have been for the past 20 years. The detractors need to be honest that when they went to school in the 80s, they would have loved to have a device like this. My compromise is this: you can use them at lunch and in passing periods and in gym, like to listen to music in PE class. And not in class, except when instructed to by a teacher. Sometimes you have some science classes that need something like that, like a portable device to take notes for lab. You have some apps on there. I think we did one like called Firefox or whatever. It lets you record sensitive data about gravity or something like that using your phones or your magnometer or something like that. And look, if and a trade-off for this would be that if you get caught with the phone, you go straight to detention, no questions asked. Sure, you may have to make occasional someone playing on the phone on me because I'm the tech detective in my school and they need to return their girlfriend's diary. But that only happened once in Adventures in the Odyssey. And look, it would not happen to me. I mean, think of all the things that have been pinned on me, like the vice president, crush allegations, crush rumors, or something like that, racism allegations, or whatever. I mean, you really think a cell phone will be the one thing that stops me of everything that has ever happened, of every scandal, of everything that's ever happened? You think it's gonna be a stupid cell phone? Yeah, good luck with that. So anyway, I'd be completely and totally fine with this ban if it's like just like that. Quite frankly, we need more people in detention. I'm sorry, more people to be in detention. Okay, like throwing half public school I went to in detention. If they can't follow the rules, that's what they get. Is what's coming to them. This ban, of course, also applies to tablets and laptops, which are essential to the one-to-one learning programs. The fact is that school computers are absolutely garbage, slow, inefficient, and horrible build quality. And sure, it may sound good on paper that everyone gets the same experience, but we are the United States of America. We are here in the great state of Texas. We are not a communist country. If your computer is better, just bring it to school. If you have network-based content filters for safety, we don't have to ban everything that we do not like. Now, that was a prepared statement I had for a TV interview or whatever, but they wanted to charge me thousands of dollars to go on TV. So let's get into this article here. So, like I said, this ban essentially bans cell phones in school, full stop, with limited health and safety exceptions. They even went to ban cell phones at football games, which is not very Texan, but I guess they got that fixed as well. The ban does not just apply, of course, to smartphones. It applies to smartwatches, telephones, cell phones, flip phones, smartwatches, radios, paging devices. So essentially everything, from a cyber code to a walkie-talkie to heck, not even the hugging and kissing forms of PDAs, but like some random old PDA that is now banned as well. This is complete overreach. Of course, it demands a litany of devices. It forces students to use, the government-funded laptops and Chromebooks. These devices are trash and can be found on surplus. I found like 5 of them on surplus on eBay, no charges, but they still work for $50. Okay, that is how bad these things are. Some of these things are like $10. The screens are low resolution. The keyboards are horrible. They're laggy and slow. They're like super creaky. And it may sound nice to mandate that everyone has the same learning experience. It may sound nice to mandate that everyone has the same thing to use. Well, this is essentially communism. Okay, that is what this is. You may laugh, you may mock me, but that is what this is. Okay? Disparities will always exist. I don't care if you have a uniform. I don't care if you force everyone to use the same phone. I don't care if you force everyone to use the same Chromebook. Disparities will always exist. And I know one of the reasons that they are doing this rule for is for, safety or whatever. Or, like they don't want kids to be distracted in their class. I'm sorry, but the smart kids are going to be smart and the dumb kids are going to be dumb. That is how this is. And what you're essentially letting is people who are dumb dictate the policy. You're letting cheaters, people who are going on to ChatGPT, liars, and manipulative little teens dictate the entire policy of Texas. Would you let dumb, stupid losers dictate the policy of Texas? And I would say no. Absolutely not. That is not what Texas is. All right, you want an example of this? What do you guys think? Would the great state of Texas elect Jasmine Crockett as governor? No, they wouldn't. Okay, she lose 80-20. We could run a rock, okay? And she would still get crushed. Deservedly so, for being dumb and stupid. The dumb and stupid people are going to do dumb and stupid things if they have a cell phone, if they have a Chromebook, if they have a rock, if they have a brick, okay? They'll just throw bricks through windows. And the smart people are going to use it properly. When I was in high school, okay, at lunch, I'll be writing some news article for TheTechBoy.org. Make sure you guys check out the website. Maybe I'd be recording sensitive audio for my presidential campaign. Maybe I'd be using it for my spy agency. Who knows? Combining the cell phone and laptop aspect. Though I did do it the whole week where I just used my cell phone as a laptop for a week. That was pretty cool. Of course, I listen to podcasts, I write blog articles, read news articles, books, and the Bible on my phone. I take my November 9th, 2022 election press conference on my phone. A phone is a black box to the digital world. In and of itself, it is not evil, and good can be done with it. And quite frankly, despite all of this, even if it's just like some normal kid, maybe you're not running a political campaign or something like this, these people, I'm sorry, godless, communist, atheist, some of these people They are crazy, and I do not want to have to put up with them. I don't want to have to put up with their nonsense for sometimes. Sometimes I want to go read some article on my phone. Maybe watch a video or something. I don't want to have to debate if about the age of the earth for the 15th time again. I don't want to go around and debate about, creationism versus evolution. I don't want to have to go and debate, did Jesus rise from the dead? I don't care enough about that. Okay, look, we've done this 15 times. If you're going to be Christian, be Christian. If you're not going to be Christian, oh well. Womp. I do not want to have to put up with these godless, communist, atheistic losers. I'm sorry. I do not have time for this. So sometimes I just want to read an article on my phone. But now you're going to let these people, get out of their weird little worlds and, now be forced to interact with each other and be annoyed or something like that. And I know people will be like, see, but without cell phones, you're going to be forced to interact with each other. Yes, sometimes you don't want to have to interact with some of those people. I'm sorry. No, they're not worth interacting with. Okay, that is a fact that you're going to have to put up with, and I'm sorry for you. Okay, these people are annoying. That's just a fact. And wanted to put up with them. And also, if you wanted to go talk to people, your cell phone does not prevent you from running your mouth. You still have a mouth. Use it. Go talk to someone. And we're going to talk about strategies about that later on in the podcast episode. Now, you may be saying, well, yeah, but, there's people who are shaking their heads down or whatever. You don't want to, use your phone. Fine, don't leave them alone. Like one comment too, so succinctly put it, what do they think we're going to teach them? AP lunch? You got 8 hours of learning and 30 minutes of, free time at lunch or something like that. If you can learn anything in 8 hours, you think that these dumb people's brains are going to magically get open and, the floodgates, the gates of heaven are going to open up once they don't have a phone anymore. And, they'll actually learn something. Nah. Okay, look. The smart people are going to be smart. And the dumb people, the stupid people are going to, lie and cheat and stuff like that. And guys, what, they lie and cheat? Straight to detention. Haul them off to detention. Look, the number 2 political candidate, of course, when I left public school, was some guy who was running the scam out of a teacher's office trying to get, people to, get his waffles, which was completely illegal. Even violated federal law. He lied to a federal official, lying to the teachers. Okay, so that's what's going on here. You got these people in D's and F's. You think that the grades are going to magically change to A's because, they weren't texting random women on Instagram? No. Okay? Look, these people can barely read and write and comprehend. But they do know one thing. Okay? And that's how to bypass stuff. Okay? Sure, they may not know what the capital of the United States is. They may not know what country or continent we're in right now. They might not even know how to read a clock on analog time. They might not even know how to read, period. But you better know that they do know the geographic location, the IP address, the DNS, and the domain name of every single VPN and every single link obfuscating service and stuff like that. So now what you're letting is all these stupid people decide policy. So you have the smart people who have to use these trash Chromebooks that barely work. Only using type on Google Docs. Gonna bring up those, college students in the Chick-fil-A again. Maybe they're high school. Who knows? You're gonna let that happen, and you're gonna let them do that. Well, meanwhile, these people are still bypassing all the restrictions. They're still not doing what's right. They're still not learning anything. So you just essentially just made the experience worse for everyone else. Ridiculous. And there's also another reason for this as well: safety. Now, I know some people are like, oh, if there's a school shooting, that's not going to happen. Okay, that's not going to happen. Statistically, that's not going to happen to you. You'll be fine. But there's another thing that's going to happen to you as well, more likely. Okay, when I was in public school, I would not willingly step foot into the bathroom without a phone. It's not safe. Okay, it is not safe. You could get beat up. People in the locker rooms beat each other's behind with anything that moves, swords, and towels. Probably even their bare hands. Okay, who knows? I wasn't in there. I was moving, a change of clothes. People vape and steal. Fights occur. In fact, when I was running for president in 2022, of course, I after the election, I was planning on running back in 2023. Of course, using the slogan "It's comeback time." Um, but I switched schools after that. I heard there was this fight club. I was going to crack down on this. Yes, an underground secret fight club that I had confirmed. I didn't have any evidence, like photographic evidence of this, but I did have confirmed witnesses that this was the thing that actually happened. An underground secret fight club was occurring at the school, presumably in bathrooms. You think I want to be in a bathroom without a phone when that happens? You think I want to be in the locker room when that happens? First of all, I mean, uh, the things that people say in the locker room, I want to have a tape of that. Just, I just want to have a tape of that. Maybe to laugh at them, maybe to, in 5 minutes later, present to the police. Um, Also, the things that people do in locker rooms. You think I want to be in there while they're smacking people around like a bunch of monkeys with towels? No. Okay? Look, if you want to lose your mind in there and do a bunch of weird stuff, have at it. But I don't have to be in there. And if I do have to be in there in the bathroom with you freaks, then I'm gonna have a phone in there so I can A, prove that I had nothing to do with whatever the heck you idiots are doing, and B, be safe, and C, if I'm not safe and if I end up dead or tied up, hung up with the towel, at least the police will know where to find my body. Okay. It's ridiculous. And now to the last thing as to why this cannot be done, like on a safe level. Let's turn over to one of the biggest schools here in the great state of Texas. Here, let's all turn over to the satellite image of Tomball High School, which has about 3,000 something students in it. Here, hopefully you guys can see this. On the screen. You guys can see this, right? Yeah, here we go. Tomball High School. Do you see how big this is? About 3,000 something students as well. Okay. From a logistic point of view, this is utterly insane. Everything is bigger in Texas, including high school. Bel Air High School in Houston, independent school district, has over 3,000 students enrolled. Williams High School has almost 4,500 students, and the average high school in HSD has over 1,000 students enrolled. Now, here we are. Here's the HISD headquarters. And if I just do a simple math calculation, about $25 million, or 0.1% of the entire budget that the United States spent to send man on the moon, of cell phones, personal electronics, or just lying around HISD, multiple HISD schools, in pouches, something. Just floating around schools, and I know this is a different school district, but floating around these school districts too, this big, with the average size of 1,000 people, that big. Do you really trust HISD and these other school districts with your phone? Do you really trust them to not lose your phone? I'm sorry. I do not trust any of these people to not lose the phone. Let alone worse. First of all, you have 1,000 students sitting around waiting for their phones. It's not like you can just leave them at home. You remember the locker room, people smacking people, cussing people out, just acting totally inappropriately, acting like there is no God. Okay. Acting like, acting like there's no tomorrow, they have nothing to be accountable to. Yeah, imagine that, but on wheels. And then the people know where you live. Yeah, no, I'm bringing a phone with me. Okay? Look, if I'm going to get chased by some bully, who took his shirt off trying to, like, smack people down the street, I just want to get chased by some bully who took his shirt off getting smacked down the street while I'm live streaming that and to citizen while calling the police. Okay? Look, if I may die, if I get, smacked to death to the shirt, but I will not die in vain. I will not die, just like, I'm not just going to sit there and take it. Nah. It's yeah, no. Some of these people are driving. Some people that walk home. Some of these people have to use the public transit system, which is horrible. Horrible. Except for the app. The app is good. At least here in Houston. You get discounts and stuff like that. But as opposed to the rest of that, people are late. People just act like they don't see you on the bus, and the bus will just blow past you. The bus stations are late and stuff like that. You need your GPS to navigate around. So no, leaving your phones at home is not an option. And also, you think the smart people and the dumb people are going to be like, oh, okay, so they leave their phones at home. You think the dumb people are going to be like, oh yeah, wow, I'm learning so much stuff out here. Wow. No, they're just going to go back home. They're going to whine about how they don't have a phone, probably lost on the train or something. When they finally make it back home, then they're just going to get back on TikTok and scroll and rot their brain away. Okay? It's not like they learned anything at school anyway. They're not learning anything now. They're not going to learn anything later. Goodness. Anyway, did you really trust these people with $25 million of technology? $25 million, not of government grants, but of your personal technology, your money, just lying around, your phone. Do you really expect not one phone to get broken, not one phone to get stolen, not one phone to get mixed up? Really? Tell me that. Tell me that. Really? You don't think that just once someone's phone will get lost, stolen, missing? Not even once. You'd be lying if you said no. Or yes, I don't know. You'd be lying. That will happen. Someone's phone will get mixed up. And guys, guess what? You have a bad password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 5, 8, 0, something like that. Maybe even no password at all. Yeah, maybe some Instagram leaks or some photos, some text message, and you have World War III. World War III. Of course, it's a pretty slow World War because no one can text each other in school, but it's still a pretty good war. And also, for the people who are rule breakers, who kids are going to be full well bringing their own VPNs, their own Wi-Fi routers. Someone's probably going to wheel out a freaking desktop computer. One time, some kid brought the entire freaking console to school. Okay, imagine anything but a backpack day, but bigger. Okay, anything but a cell phone day. Okay, some kids gonna advance digital. Some kids gonna bring up. It's gonna try to bring their own freaking cordless phone that's hooked up to some acoustic coupling modem to AOL for the final 30 days that AOL dial-up exists. And be like, it's not a phone, it's a acoustic dial-up modem, connected to this thing here, and it's actually, okay. These people are going to break the law. Okay, the people who we are most afraid of, the people who are most concerned for, are going to break the law. Sure, they may not be smart, but they know every VPN and proxy site on planet Earth. They will use every bypass possible. And from this point on, the TechBoy Media is not, condoning or giving any advice here as well. I mean, let's go look over at the statistics for the Microsoft freaking Zoom. Okay, the Microsoft Zoom, which has been dead for 10, 12, 15 something years here, over here in the great state of Texas in the past 90 days here. Nothing here. I have no idea why these spikes happen. Oh, guys, look at this. We have a 41 spike here on August 17th. Oh, it was actually at 43 last time I taped this, but there was no audio or something like that. So what we are seeing here live in real time is as the bill has come into effect. It doesn't come into effect until September, but the school districts are already enforcing it. As the bill has come into effect, guess what? People are getting fed up and getting their own MP3 players. Here we have much more popular iPod here. You have something around 30 here in the month of May. And it's already up here to in the high 80s in the month of August. People are going to find loopholes. People are going to find bypasses. Okay. People are just going to hide watches under this stuff. I guarantee you, some kid is probably going to try to show up to school with some sort of VR headset, some Oculus Quest type stuff. It's going to be something like this. I guarantee you some kid's going to show up with this touchscreen monitor, a battery pack, and a Intel, little plug-in computer. Did you plug into the HDMI? You touch it. It's not a desktop. It's not a laptop. In fact, it's just an external monitor for my Chromebook, ma'am. Just plug that in. And of course we have an Android camera here. I think made by Samsung back in 2013. Look, you can see how old it is. You'd be like, it's just a camera. It's just a camera. It's technically it doesn't ban cameras. and sure it's running like Android 4.1 or something like that. 4.4 maybe. Looks like 4.4. And sure you have Gmail and Google Photos and Hangouts, and sure it takes 5 minutes to turn on and all the stuff like that. But it's just a camera. It's just a camera. You have these people absolutely trying to, violate the spirit of the law, which is ridiculous too. Because the spirit of the law and the letter of law. I'm a big proponent of the letter of law. I mean, if you can get a thing like that, you can get out of that. Especially when the free state of school is at stake. Any leak, you have something like that. You have a phone mix-up, you got the Babysitters Club all over again. Texas is one of the most free states of the union. Let's keep it this way. This bill is ridiculous. I really do not know why it matters if you have your phone in AP in passing periods where you can have so much technology, so much use. You got your bell schedules, you have your Quizlet, you have your flashcards. You can text and maybe even find your friends. Have you seen how big these schools are? Let me show this map back up on the screen again so you guys can see how big this school is. Look at that stadium. Okay, this is the middle school. All of this is the high school. Do you want? How are you supposed to know where your friends are? Like legitimately, this bill has sent you back to the Stone Age. It's not it's not just cell phones. No, it's any type of paging device. Okay, literally pre-World War II. Okay, no walkie-talkies. Pre-World War II. I think it even bans some sort of like landline too, which I'm not even sure how they would get that set up. Like what? You can have a cordless phone in every room so that you can like call your friends or something like that. It'd be pretty expensive. You have to have your own little like cells around. Of course, you also have to pay for service or something like that. Do you see how big this school is? How are you supposed to find this thing? Imagine the drop off and check in line, and parents cannot call. Let's say you have your people coming in online. Parents can't even call and text you before you update because your phone is in some bag. Maybe. It might be in a bag. Who knows? Your phone might have, especially in some of the high schools here in Houston, your phone might have gone missing. You really think they have someone guarding that thing from 8 to 3, guarding literally thousands and thousands of dollars of equipment? Let's say $500 phone times 1,000 students. That is $500,000 just guarded by some like random. It's not the principal himself is going to be sitting up there. You think he cares about those phones? No. $500,000 of technology just sitting around, lying around, like legitimately lying around, just in a pouch somewhere. Extreme overreach and extreme stupidity. This is the bill that is designed to I guess help the extremely stupid. But what it does is it brings us to their level. That is what communism does. That is what socialism does. It makes everyone equal. They all get to sit in the dumpster together. They all have to get to play in the filth together. They all have to use the $50 Chromebook together. More like $10 Chromebook. I'm not saying that we need to buy MacBooks for every student in class. I'm not saying this shouldn't be reformed. I'm not saying that people should be able to use cell phones in class. I very clearly said that they should be able to put them up in the school. In fact, I'd like to see, with my version of the bill, it get prosecuted to the full extent of the law. It would be proactive. It would keep stupid people from running around trying to Wafflegate 2.0 again. If they're sitting in detention and can't run for president, then they can't do Wafflegate. Okay, honestly, he should have gotten detention just for giving the other person's campaign a free, like just letting her waltz into the office. It was so bad. They probably should have investigated her for campaign fraud, for paying him to run such a bad campaign to make her look better, or like the only candidate. But I digress. It's just utterly ridiculous. I guess Christina Mun's going to be so mad about the first 30 minutes of this episode. She's always mad. But of course, we finally did get TikTokers to agree to come here. Of course, I did meet them. Of course, it might have been the most unprecedented in the hypothetical world event that has ever happened here in the TechBoy media, and of course to SSA. As you guys know, the hyper-theoretical world is what what SSA LTW the book exists in. SSA LTW the web series exists mostly in the real world. Like that stuff happened. I did get chased around the woods in the school. Of course, I did run for president twice, and yes, I did get asked weird questions as well. But the SSA LTW book universe, that is the ultra hyper theoretical. First of all, the school is so much larger. It's like the schools that I was showing, of course, on the screen. The school is there's this entire scene where me and Sydney and Maverick are all in the car together. I remember that Sydney is like in 11th grade, so she's my age, because skipped a grade. So in the book I'm 16. I'm pretty sure she's 16, 17, like that. Anyway, and we get out the car. There's a fog machine. The cheerleaders are standing there. They're all cheering. The volleyball players run through the fog machine. And I come out and I wave to my fans. And then they play the national anthem. I mean, just aura. Epic aura right there. That's what people would call aura forming or something like that. And, it's just epic. It's like, the epic national anthem thing there. I'm standing out there waving to the crowd. I'm in a car with friends and stuff like that. Something that would never happen. Things we don't even have simulations for. Like, why would I even simulate something like that? When is this even going to happen? Of all the things that didn't happen, this didn't happen the most. Like that's what we call the hyper-theoretical. The hyper-theoretical would be, of course, stuff going in at Vincent Odyssey. Like that one episode in that Vincent Odyssey, Two's Company, Forza Crowd, something like that, where, this random kid invites Emily Jones over to her house, and she just shows up and goes and solves the case for her. I sometimes kind of criticize the episode. Nobody can criticize, but I kind of said they kind of made me feel bad because nothing like this ever happens to me. I don't get to do anything interesting, and I kind of feel lonely. It's just a cell phone fault. You can actually get out. No. Where I live, you walk and there's nothing. Out in the woodlands, it's different. You have these things. It's this great invention actually called a sidewalk. There's this piece of concrete that you get to walk on or you can ride a bike on, and it takes you places. It's like a road for your feet. Not like there's anywhere in Houston that, you want to go like that. But, hopefully we can catch up to, hopefully we can catch up to the great inventors of the 20 from 19th century. It's just a road. It's a path. We don't have a dope path, okay? Okay, so I don't want to hear you people online being like, touchcraft's totalitarianism. You just need to go outside. There's tons of people outside that want to get to know you. Yeah. In the hyper-theoretical world, and of course in the world of yesterday, where I did meet people, and of course I did do my vlog thing, and I did do hyper-theoretical stuff with them. I got to ride my bike behind the electric scooters, actually in front, because I'm pretty fast. And you know what this reminds me of? Of course, when Hazel breaks into SSA HQ and steals the files, and I'm shooting Nerf bullets at her by riding on an electric scooter or a bike or whatever in a chase. I mean, if you think about it, that kind of happened. And I did get to know them. Of course, my snap score went up by 25%, which isn't that hard because it was like under 240. Now it's at 304 last time I checked for this podcast segment. And they said they're going to come on and talk about, TikTok and the cell phone ban for the podcast episode. So, Christy Demond, hard as hit, of course. You in this entire book, the hyper-theoretical became the reality. The only thing that came out of this book from, hyper-theoretical, people coming in, stealing my files, spy chases, stuff like that, people debating about weird stuff like crop tops. Is that really going to happen? Do I really think people are going to, in the middle of an election, debate about crop tops? Probably not. But, given my debate history, do I really think that, having these alternate third-party news sources, City, Spills, T, GNN, Hawk News, stuff like that, that's in the hyper-theoretical. I mean, the hyper-theoretical could happen. Who knows? It could probably happen. Who knows? Maybe Sydney Spills' team will be next. Heck, who knows? Maybe those kids from the park will start a podcast together, and it will be a long-running and successful podcast. Speaking of, I almost forgot this. I'm trying to remember all the lines I used in my 50-minute monologue that went perfectly wasted down by the wayside because this stupid computer has a mic off button that barely, lights up when it's on. There's some sort of sound that tells you when the mic is off. I ran my mouth to for like 50 minutes, which I mean, loops us back. Let's circle back to the cell phone thing. It's ridiculous that they say, oh, cell phones just stop you from talking, which is really funny, seeing as my podcast started in 2022, and there's about a week's worth of me yapping to no one, about 4 people on here right now. There's a week's worth of me yapping on the internet since 2022, like almost 200 hours, which is about a week. See how I can do that math right there? Okay, look, there's a cell phone right here. Didn't prevent me from, doing math. A week is 168 hours, by the way. I got called, said speaking Japanese and the Yappuan for the number one yapper or something like that. I always got told to stop yapping. So, it really hurt in public school, something like that. I mean, I wish I could have told them to stop yapping and go yap their communist, atheistic mouths to someone who cares. But, anyway, you gotta be a good witness, blah, 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 blah. And speaking of, I actually, hung out with them, played soccer and got ice cream, and then hung out with them later. A totally unprecedented thing for us to say. Like um, that's not even on the list. I mean, heck, we didn't even put that in the book. We didn't even put that in the book. The book was a fever dream. Everything I want to do, run for president. Come out, have people, cheering for me. But yeah, we didn't even put that in the book because we were like, what? This is totally unrealistic. One thing we didn't do was solve the detective case, the crime, whatever. Of course, and I'm gonna circle back to that. Focus on my family book that we were talking about a few days ago, where it was people talking about the I forgot. Oh yeah. It's like, oh, you get a text from a friend, and then like 5 texts later or something, he's drunk at a party. 5 moments later, he's drunk at a party or something like that. And guys, guess what? Nothing like that happened because obviously I'm grounded, of course, in those values. But I mean, I don't really think this thing that happens. I think it's fear mongering. I also think it was aesthetic mongering as well. Like I didn't think things like this actually happened in real life. I mean, it's only happened to me once. And I've only hung out with friends that weren't picked for me. You know what I mean? Like from like parents, something like that, or like some 7-year-old who started shooting Nerf bullets in SHQ. Good times. Um, Twice. And the first time took an act of the Almighty. First of all, we had to have all of MIA, what is it? MIA 68GD all in one place. Oh, plus me, which is pretty unlikely. I'll be, because I'd be at work anytime. And then, of course, you have to have God send a thunderstorm. And then you have to have the power go out. And you have to have MI6 have the bright idea that we all go to Whataburger and something like that. And then it work out, yes. But I mean, like, that has nothing to do with me. I can't control schedules. I can't control the weather, contrary to popular belief. Okay, I don't have access to the secret, weather control lasers. Sorry. I can't control the weather, and I can't control if the power goes out. So it's just, I mean, God might as well just literally written it in the clouds. Okay, that has nothing to do with me. But I did use the vlog method, thank you. Which, in these books from Focus on the Family and in the devotionals from Kids to Kids, it's like, oh, which once again, they have this like kind of aesthetic, oh, we want them to be able to do this, it always has people coming over to people's houses, just like showing them freshly baked bread whenever someone moves in. Oh, I hope they have kids. That was always the back. I mean, like, some always the kids in the book in the back of, oh, I hope they have kids. When someone moves in, either they have kids or they have a dog or they're like old. That was it. Either they have kids and the wishes are fulfilled, they have a dog and dog's a man's best friend, or they have kids, or they're old and because they're old they're wise and they have stories from the Civil War or something like that. I guess the kids were fascinated by that. But listen to some old guy yap about the good old days. So listen to me yap about what happened yesterday. But anyway, focus on the family, and of course these ministries, and of course they have that aesthetic. They also have the aesthetic of, oh well, you should help out the the lonely, bedraggled people, unpopular people at your school or whatever. It really seems kind of funny if you think about it, but whatever. You want to go out and help them out, pick them up. Now, there could be a legitimate reason why they're unpopular. Now, maybe it's an illegitimate reason because they're seen as quote unquote ugly. Maybe they're just bold, dull and boring. Maybe there's a legitimate reason. Maybe they cussed out a teacher. Maybe they spat on him. Maybe they put bees in his car. Who knows? But anyway, for me, that's really stretching it, seeing as I'm sorry, but like that's a really high view of the audience that they are not in the bottom 50. Well, heck, the bottom 75. Like the audience themselves is actually popular or something like that. And honestly, do the work himself. Now, I mean, you might be criticizing me. Oh, you go online and say, hey, you don't have any friends or whatever. Yes, because here, not here, but where I live back home, they haven't come up with the concept of a sidewalk. And the public transit system is run by a whole bunch of incompetent people who cannot drive to save their lives. I honestly do not know why the people at Metro have not been brought before some type of committee or a council and grilled the heck out. Like people standing on a bus stop and the bus will just leave, or they'll be late by 30 minutes, and the routes. I have no idea why on God's green earth you have to have routes, 2-3 routes with the same exact numbers. And of course, they show up on the GPS location as in the middle of the freaking street. So you have no idea which side it is. Who were the morons that designed this system? Seriously. But anyway, no, I can't go anywhere. And no, there's nowhere to go. And no, there's no sidewalks. So when I say put in the work, I'm mostly referring to people in high school or people in environments in which they can get around and do things. Thing is, I pulled off the greatest victory in SSA history yesterday because I was getting around and doing things. Okay? Anyway, put in the work. Some of these kids need to put in the work themselves. Just sitting around there waiting for some kid who listened to Vincent Odyssey to come in and, I guess save them. Okay? Newsflash. There's not going to be a focus on the family Superman in every school. You gotta work yourself. Vlog. Yeah, unless you're in Texas, then you have to vlog the old-fashioned way, with pen and a paper. Or run for president. You don't even have to win. You say in the school of 500 people. You get 50 supporters. 10%. 10%. All you need is 10%. If you can't get 10%, I mean, I don't even know. Heck, 4%, 5%. That's 25, 50 people right there. Who on your side? Who on your team? You want to be 10%'s not a lot. Guys, you know who's in 10%? Geneva, Amala, Ava, Clarissa, Maria. 5. There we go. Who's that? GCAM. Guys, we've been yapping about GCAM since 2023. Now, that's 2 years. 2 years that we've been yapping about GCAM. Now, did GCAM, of course, in this collapse? Yes. GCAM, is GCAM going to win an election this year? No. Does GCAM exist anymore? No. Is that relevant? No. But the point is, that if you just get out there and you have a point to talk to people, then you can become at least semi-popular. You have to have a point. When I was talking to kids in the park, it's because I wanted to play a game, and then we pivoted over to TikTok and YouTube and the cell phone ban and stuff like that. I can just go out there. Well, vlogging, I guess you can be like, oh, what do you think about this? Vlogging is another pivot entry into it, right? Okay, it wasn't Vincent Odyssey skills of just sitting around and waiting for someone to be a friend, or you can just go out and say hi or something. That's not how it works in the real world here. It's the value that Vincent Odyssey keeps for kids and focus on the family that, of course, keep us grounded and make sure that we don't do anything wrong or do anything sinful or whatever. But it's ingenuity. Like running for president. When I ran for president in 2023, guys, what happened? Sure, I may have lost the election, but I did become secretary later. I did run the news agency, and by a byproduct, I made lots of friends. I was able to get, connected because I had a point in talking to them. My point was, hey, scan this QR code, vote for me. That was the point. And then they responded to that message. But in 2022, the same thing happened. But I already was pretty notorious for being the evangelical lightning rod of the entire school. And sure, I was Teflon and, could say whatever I wanted or whatever. But I mean, it probably cost me an election by like 5 votes, but in a very obviously stolen election. Man, I forgot what I was going to search up for. Oh, yeah, I remember now. Speaking of voted, here's a picture of a. This is really funny. This is a picture of the governor of California had some sort of press conference. Here, I want you guys to see this picture here of all these people signing, holding a sign here. Yeah, let's show this on the screen to all the fans. And it's just cropped in, just show the video. Okay, it's not cropped in. It's not. I'm not cropping anyone. This is what the news themselves showed. This is the video of some sort of press conference. I don't know what this is about. All right, first of all, why is the American flag like 3 feet tall? I don't like. Whoa, you could. I've seen a bigger flag like on my phone's home screen. Goodness gracious! But I'm pretty sure that more people have voted for me in my life than all. Well, there's like 10 people there. 10. Not even hyperbole, not even exaggerating too much. You more people voted for me in high school as an evangelical lightning rod. But they were asking me a whole bunch of ridiculous questions, and they were asking me like if I was going to be like some sort of dictator, some sort of Christian dictator. More people voted for a Christian dictator than people who decided to stand up and show solidarity behind the 2-foot American flag. I don't even know what that is. Oh my gosh. That's just the image I saw. It was really funny. That's as we're here sitting here on the topic of elections. All right, speaking of elections, the DOJ. I don't know. It's full of idiots, I guess. Of course, they want to break up Google for being too successful. It'd be like if I started a sock company and then integrated it with shoes. Okay, Google is so successful that people go out of their way to download. I mean, Edge, when you go, it is the most successful browser on Windows. When you go onto, when you go onto a Windows computer, Edge begs you, please don't use Google, please, please, please. It gets on its knees, please, please don't use Google, please use Edge, please use Copilot, please use Bing. I mean, you type in Chrome or Google, it will literally beg you, say Edge is safer, Edge is lighter, Bing is better, Bing is faster, Bing searches the web, Copilot has AI built in. And guess what? These people are smart and say, no, we don't want your junk. We'll download Chrome. That's why Chrome is so popular. Of course, you can say, oh, it's pre-installing Chrome OS, but I mean that's ridiculous. It's like saying the early version of Windows were based around DOS. Chrome OS is based around the Chrome browser. That is what it's based upon. Okay? It's like how your default file manager in Windows is usually for 90% of people the default file manager. And that's how it works. Windows is built around that file manager and the command line now, not on DOS, with the later versions. But you get the point. Anyway, AI started Perplexity, who I am a fan of. I'm glad that they have not sold over to Apple. I am a fan of Perplexity. Like I've always said, if a better version of Google is ever made, I will switch over to it. Okay, like I am a fan of Google, but I'm not pledging allegiance to the flag of Google, to the republic for which it stands. That's not how this works. Google is a great company. They may say, oh, they had a pride flag or something, blah, 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 blah. Too bad. Google's great. Okay, you look, I have tested out your little your alternatives. As in everything else is based on Bing and you have free spoke. That sucks. You have truth search, something like that. Those suck. So anyway, Perplexity is probably like the only competitor that's like halfway decent. And it's an AI search engine, so it's not as analogous to Google as it is. Anyway, they want Chrome because obviously they want Chrome. It's on every device, not because Google forced it there, but because against Microsoft's nagging and begging and whining for you to not do it, the smart internet users have defied Google have defied Microsoft and said, no, we want Chrome. We want Chrome. We want Chrome. And you know what the DOJ has seen for this we want Chrome, we want Chrome, we want Chrome? What they see is users screaming and crying for we want regulation, we want regulation, we want regulation. But I guarantee you, we do not. We are not a communist country. We are not the EU. Okay, we do not want regulation over the Chrome browser. If we want to go into this new era of the web, where everything's web-based, like I was talking about, I'm going to talk with these teenagers again. Everything's web-based. Where you're typing on a Chromebook, you're typing on your MacBook using Google Docs. Why should the number one browser be under threat? Anyway, Perplexity wants to buy the browser. But Perplexity already has their own browser. I haven't gotten access to it. It's called Comet. It's an AI-powered browser, which just really shows where we are in the world. AI and browsers meshing together, and that's a legitimate project. AI, of course, is the new big thing. Browsers are the essential thing. You see anyone using Windows computer or MacBook, most likely they're going to be in the browser doing work or whatever. Video editing, podcasting, all this works in the browser. So Perplexity wants it for over $30 billion. OpenAI, of course, wants it. Yahoo, which, they kind of had Google. They probably could have had Chrome. They could have developed themselves back in 2003, but they didn't take Google's offer. So look where we are now. Sucks to suck now, doesn't it? You're not getting it. Okay, Yahoo, Yahoo search engine is not even based on Yahoo anymore. It's based on Bing, which is trash. Who else wants it? Of course, Google, and some other private equity firm. Of course, Google not responded to comment and said, what is wrong with you? And would have laughed in their faces. I'm like, what the heck? Are you insane? I'm not giving you Chrome. Make your own browser. The browser that defies the whining. Just like SSA has defied the conventional laws. Teflon Tech. Do it all. We got a TikToker, people. We got an actual TikToker. That's so cool. And let me see if I can find the video. I was always saying, when is something like this ever going to happen? This is totally unlikely. It's not going to happen. But you know what they say? Rebuke the discouraging words. Here is the TechBoy most viral moments video. I just want to react to this clip. Here's the TechBoy viral moments video. And do I come across as a Focus on Family super fan? Should I read all the books? Should I use? Should I listen to the radio broadcast? Should I listen to all the Events and Odyssey episodes? Should I have been to their headquarters? Should I have probably read some of their books? Maybe I am a super fan. Who knows? Man, I'm feeling all my quotes. Anyway, here is the viral moments video, and who knows? This is a clip from me. Make sure that the audio is turned on. Make sure that the mic is on as well. I'm not retaping this episode unless I have to. We got to keep our streak alive and well. Here we go. Hopefully you can see this on the screen. Who knows? Look, SSA has led the way.
The villagers are sick and
in the context, they mean midnight. Okay, 12.
Be destroyed.
They said that you'll be home by 12, and in the context, they mean midnight. Okay, 12 a.m. First of all, that is not a compromise. What on earth are you in 1987 or in 2024 doing out at midnight at a party? And second of all, that perspective here, which all you interviewers will know is completely and totally true. If I tried to pull that, the net chance of that happening, okay, is equivalent to the net chance of teenage dating relationships succeeding, which is the net chance of me being able to invite a friend from school to my house, which is the net chance of someone rebuilding a bridge out of sticks who doesn't have an engineering degree and expecting the car to go across it without the car falling in. All this to say that's a net chance of 0. Even this book, which is crazy, okay? I mean, if you think that's crazy point in this book, when it gets to the section on dating, I was thinking, okay, the obvious thing would be to. I said that's a clip for me, and the hyper-theoretical became theoretical. Christy Lamont pushed it into the realistic with, of course, Blonde Gate, which was a hyper-theoretical thing that from the book that became a real thing. Unfortunately, of course, with MI6 Gate. Um, what was that other thing? Isabella Maria de Luca, whatever. And you know, um, the reverse happened, and it succeeded. Mission accomplished. The greatest SSA mission on planet Earth. And to that I say, God bless you, and I wish you Godspeed to all the poor kids in the great state of Texas. Hopefully they don't ban, cell phones for anyone under the age of 18. I'm against protests, but if they did that, I might even join one. God bless. Tech Talks later. Godspeed to all the poor kids in the great state of Texas.